That's right. We're doing this entire show colorblind.
What that mean, homie?
What does that mean? Well, that means that we're going to delve into some of these new thought processes.
We're going to excuse all kinds of little bits of racism because we don't see color.
Well, listen, hey, first let me start the stream, and then we'll start the fun. Are you ready? You want to hear it?
Here it goes.
Create a new event, and we're going to call it Colorblind.
That's Ice Cube record.
Is it really?
Yeah.
Well,
yeah.
This conversation should be fun and problematic. Here we go. Welcome to the we've taken a couple of weeks off. I can't remember what the episode number is. Rob, you have a guess? 36?
It would just be a guess, homie. I haven't been here in 2 weeks. Or maybe we haven't been here in 2 weeks.
We're in the high 30s.
Yeah.
We're in the upper 30s. I know that.
Well, wherever we at, we high. Well,
that's
not
right.
You, but the rest of us.
I'm gonna run with 36. Welcome to the 36th episode of Born in Trouble. I'm your host, John X. I hope y'all didn't miss me too much. But as usual, our hiatus was a unscheduled hiatus. We took 1 week off and then said, damn it, well, might as well take 2. Fellas, from the great state of Michigan, home of the, since hiatus, national champions, Michigan Wolverines, Mr. Grant Lancaster, the City Winking.
What up, though?
What up, though? And of course, from sitting in once again, from I think somewhere in New England.
Well, I was born in New York, and I lived in New England. Now I'm down here in the South.
From down south, representing the dirty, Mr. Andrew Johnson.
What's up, y'all?
What's
Peace and
that,
love, brothers? Hey, I had to go where the job took me.
Look at what I got here.
Mr. Andrew Johnson.
Where all the white women at? It's a good place because we know there's somebody on the call who knows the answer to that.
Somebody's ready to play, I see. And without ado, the man introduces himself, the one, the only, Mr. Brooks with the good looks.
What it is, Johnny
Mr.
X.
Robert Brooks.
Gentlemen,
what's up, camping?
Let's have some fun. What's going on, John?
Yeah. It's been a lonely couple weeks, man. Missed y'all.
Yeah, I missed y'all too, man. Which is why I came up with this idea for the show. So people at home don't think that we're actually like organized or anything. We didn't actually plan the 2 weeks off. It's just like the first show didn't come together right away, and we didn't do that. And then the next week, I just basically said, fuck it, I don't feel like it this week. So that's what happened. And the sad part is that I actually had advertised the show the first week on Wisdom, telling people to tune in at 9:30 on Thursday and listen to the show. And we took the time off. And I'm blaming Rob.
What you got to do, homie?
Yeah. You had sent out some leaders that week too.
Yeah. I had some good leaders, and we're still going to talk about them today. Because today, in the spirit of that young man, who I've decided not to say his name, but there have been a lot of people that have stood in this young man's footsteps before and made good coin off of reverse race hustling. That's right, reverse race hustling. So in the spirit of Herman Cain, Larry Elder, and Dr. Ben Carson, We're going to attempt to see people our brothers' way, our other brothers' way today. And we're going to present a colorblind show. That's right, y'all. A colorblind show. Tonight, I want you brothers to drop your Afro sheens and pick up your just, I don't know, dull American identities. Nothing is off limits because race does not exist. How do you feel about that, fellas? Can we do this tonight?
Yeah, race is a social construct, right? It's abstract at best.
Okay.
So, yeah, we can be colorblind.
I'm glad because everyone here tonight, I don't want people to see your color, just your essence, your culture, your chi. Expect many topics to be culturally appropriated for the show because tonight we are just one culture. We are one people. We are not seeing race whatsoever. So, damn it, if you're offended, it's your own racism that's causing it.
I was already in because I bathed myself in Creed earlier today. So.
Oh. Christian rock.
No, not Christian rock Creed. The French perfumer Creed.
Okay. I'm sorry. I have to take that back. You see, automatically, I'm already in character. I'm already feeling it. I'm feeling the Christian rock. Andrew, you like Christian rock, don't you? What's your favorite Creed song?
I don't have one other than the fact that my son listens to some of it, and I don't even know the names of the artists or nothing. If it's a halfway decent song.
Creed has like 2 big hits, don't they? Like I feel like if we heard a Creed song, I might know it.
Yeah,
they got a couple songs. I'm trying to think of the name.
Are they that Arms Wide Open thing? Is that the
with Arms Wide Open.
Yeah, okay, I heard of that. I heard of that.
Uh-huh.
Come on, guys. Do the move.
I don't know that anybody can do that move that you're doing, sir.
Bro.
Wow.
Bro.
Clearly,
move.
he's got some he's definitely got that Caucasian feeling right now.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, there's no race today.
Rob, what are you Rob, you're bringing in race.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Caucasian, What was that guy's name, Rob, that I called you? I was like watching him. And then I realized something about him. What's that guy's name? I can't say his name. The one from the Bill Maher show that day.
Oh, I don't know his name. I don't that dude was a clown.
Yeah, was his last name Coleman? Was his last name Coleman?
Coleman Hughes. That's it. Coleman.
Maybe that was his first name.
Damn. I'm gonna have to strike that. I'm gonna have to go back and knock that name out because I don't want to say it because he's in the spirit of Herman Cain, Larry Elder, and Dr. Ben Carson, all deceased Black conservatives who led the way and everything. And this guy at 27 years old decided to write a book about the Black experience and why CRT and what was it? Diversity. What was he saying?
And inclusion. He said DEI.
DEI. How it spawned in the 70s and 80s was, were brought up from those people from the 70s and the 80s was completely wrong and causing him aggression. And then I looked him up, and this motherfucker was born in like 1997.
It's about right.
Yeah, like when is because we're in the age of entitlement, right? When did that start?
I literally had the conversation with my daughter on the way home today. I went and had dinner with my daughter today, and she was in her whole, but I'm too awkward for that. And I said, there's a lot that my generation may not have gotten right, but the one thing we did is that nobody gave a fuck about your feelings. So if you were told, go stand up and speak in front of this room, you went and spoke in front of the room. And sometimes you learned something about yourself. There's something you thought you couldn't do that you actually did well. Whereas these kids are never going to find the fuck out about themselves because the moment they feel uncomfortable, they get to cite their feelings as a reason why they don't want to do it. And then it's okay.
Right.
So they never have to push themselves. They never have to get out of their comfort zone. and it also means they get to be horseshit their entire lives.
Right.
She actually kind of agreed with me on that.
Yeah. Well, I mean, because from his perspective, honestly, his perspective to me is no perspective. Because where do you what did he say? He grew up in Inglewood, New Jersey. You know that neighborhood, Rob?
No, he said he said Montclair. I think
Montclair.
Yeah.
Isn't that like a really rich neighborhood?
That's very nice suburbs, Montclair, New Jersey.
You know, what are we talking about? Are we talking about race? Or are we talking about money when we're talking about this kid? You know,
Well,
honestly,
a lot of it. He probably had a lot of the rough edges polished off by money, and so he wasn't feeling it the same way that some other folks were.
Yeah,
you know,
right.
When you got money and opportunity, if you get to go to all the private schools, and you're doing all that shit, so you might actually believe that it's not happening because it wasn't happening for you, or the microaggressions were so small that you didn't even notice them,
or you just ignored them.
Or you ignored them, yeah.
You just ignore them, and you just like Herman Keene and Larry Elder and Dr. Ben Carson.
Yeah, but see, all the brothers, especially Ben Carson, like Ben's poor ass could not have ignored them. Like Ben came up in the middle. Like Ben may have been denying it because he was trying to erase his pain. So I'm just going to lock all that behind that door there, and it never happened. But there's no way Ben Carson could have ignored it because that's a project brother.
Right.
Yeah.
He's too intelligent. But now he's off eating escargots somewhere.
So
that's right. He actually isn't dead. I'm sorry.
Maybe
he's not dead.
You know what, John? No, it's funny y'all bring up Ben Carson because it's pertaining to race. I want you to think about something. This man was one of the top neurosurgeons in the country. Went to Johns Hopkins in Baltimore and ran for president. And the president that gave him a job in the cabinet gave him the Secretary of Urban Housing and Development. Now, this is quote unquote
a
top neurosurgeon in the country.
And they put him in charge of the projects.
Exactly. So what does that tell you about race and politics in our country?
That tells me that
they didn't give a fuck about the projects.
No, it tells me that. No, it tells me that if you're a neurosurgeon, no matter how much money you can make as a neurosurgeon, there's much more money to be made reverse race hustling. That's what it tells me.
Right.
No, so, I don't think that's what that was.
So I'm gonna tell you this. My cousin is a anesthesiologist. She did an internship at Johns Hopkins, and she left Detroit. She was working at Henry Ford Hospital here. She left here to go to Baltimore to work at Johns Hopkins only because Ben Carson was a hero of hers in terms of being a doctor. And when she got there, she was like, you probably shouldn't meet your heroes because this motherfucker is batshit crazy.
Wow.
but this is what I'll say though. In order to be that good at something, right, you have to give up something else. Right?
Yeah.
So it's like, if you that good at basketball or football or whatever, that's why they got these same like 7 girls that they just pass around because they don't have no game. You know what I'm saying? Like you got to give up something in order to be that proficient at whatever it is you do.
And so he gave up a connection to reality?
Yeah, right. Clearly.
I don't know if he gave up a connection to reality.
Last time I heard that brother speak in public, I was like, what kind of crazy fiction bullshit is this?
sound like Dianetics. L.
Ron Hubbard. Where's the spaceship?
That was he be on that colorblind shit. He don't see color. And that's what happens when you don't see color. Eventually everything becomes opaque. And you can't discern between different things.
You get that memory thing going. Some of them obviously you get so smart that your memory goes because the Supreme Court Justice Clarence Thomas. He done seen everything, all the racism there is in the world. And somehow this brother thinks he did it all on his own.
Mm.
The government programs didn't help him not a fucking lick. It was all his own intellect. And the money from this dude that owns him, paying for his nephew's college and buying his mom's house and whatever. But everything else he did on his own.
Yeah.
So what we know is that the movies are the precursor to the tech that's coming out. So if you remember Men in Black, that the light,
the neuro,
the
neuralizer.
Hey, once you get to a certain level and you black, maybe they
hit you up.
Yeah, they hit you up. You don't remember shit. that CRS can't remember shit.
Mm. Well, Clarence Thomas struggled with it because when he was in high school, the black girls in South Carolina didn't like him, and he's been paying them back ever since.
Well, I guess the girls in South Carolina a lot smarter than I give them credit for. Goddamn it! I should have been nicer to them last weekend while I was down there playing golf.
I don't know, man. Any guy who's smooth enough to leave a pubic hair on a Coke, I don't know if you can really get. I don't see how any woman's gonna deny that. How is she gonna really say no to that? I mean, come on, that's an invitation for the ages.
Yeah,
there's
right there.
Yeah, there's Niagara Falls. There's those champagne cups that they used to have up in the Poconos, and there's pubic hair on your Pepsi.
Like that's
those are the three.
That the next step is taking them to the movie theater and sticking your junk through the bottom of the popcorn box.
Yeah, right. Exactly. Just wonderful. But but you see, I'm glad that you guys have bought into the show, because everything that we've covered is something that that everyone can, it's colorblind topics and people that we know. And we're going to get to know this guy, this young 27-year-old ex-student, whatever. We're going to get to know him over the next 2, 3, 4 decades and watch him go from lowly graduate student to owner of a mansion, perhaps a senator or a governor, and definitely pretty much close to 100 million at least is in his future. You've got people propping him up. He's on CNN, he's on Bill Maher. And really, when you look at it, Herman Cain and Larry Elder both died during COVID. And Ben Carson, as you said, is a little bit loopy and loony. Nobody really understands him. I guess maybe if we throw him back to Chicago, he could be a mumble rapper. But
right.
Anything's possible. I'm sure if he put his mind to it, he's a brilliant man. You could figure out neurosurgery. I guess you could probably figure out mumble rap as well. But I don't know. It's crazy. So I want to keep with the theme of a colorblind show today. Are you guys enjoying the conversation so far?
Man, I'm not sure where this is going to go.
I want to say it's thought-provoking, but I don't know exactly. I don't know where we're going.
I believe in you, X. Let's go.
Oh my gosh,
ride, baby.
You know what? This is the type of fear I love to instill in my guests when they were on my panel. This is wonderful. This is fantastic. We're going to talk about the music business now. And we're going to go colorblind now. Going colorblind. Because there's nothing more colorblind in the world than music. You can hip hop.
Since when?
Listen, since they first opened up hip hop classes in the suburbs for young white girls.
Here we go.
Okay.
Here we go.
That was a step towards colorblindness and hanging out after basketball games, but that's something different. But ever since that started,
if it wasn't for hanging out after basketball games, you might be living alone right now. So. She was a cheerleader.
You know what, Rob? When you get him, you got to watch this guy, because when he gets him, he gets him. The man does not miss, Mr. Robert Brooks. You may not be able to hear it, but you're getting another round of applause. That was fantastic. That's right, killing me. Andrew's just sitting there like, I don't get this shit. He's like, I don't know what the fuck they talking about. I don't know what the fuck they talking about. Why did I decide to sit in? Don't worry, Andrew. If you don't want to say anything, Rob won't make you. Right, Rob? Anyway.
Now I won't make you like I'm the host.
Listen. So hey, if things go wrong, I gotta always have an escape plan, bro.
Hey, bro. Like, so you was about to hate on the white women, but if it was not for the white people buying rap albums, rappers would all be broke still. So we gotta salute the suburbs getting on board with rap.
That's a fact.
All we did was pass tapes back and forth. We still be passing Mr. Magic's Rap Attack back and forth.
But you know what?
Or Red Alert, one of the two.
Oh, Red,
but you
yeah.
know what? On this show, they're not white girls buying records. They're just colorblind, regular people.
They're just Americans. Just
Americans. Right? So is that better? In that case, is it better that, like, it's not, we don't take it and we don't break it down and say, like, this rap music is not being supported by inner city people because they can't really afford to buy it. It's really the white kids that would, in the other society, have been called wiggers. Everything is free today, cultural appropriation, because, like, there is no color on this show. So we're just going to throw all the terms out and we're going to make them, they're harmless now, right? So it's really white guys that listen to black music that are buying rap music, right? Would you say
that's how rap became a big thing?
Yeah.
Yes.
And right now, white women, colorless women, who are doing stuff on TikTok. True.
That's true.
That's what I hear. I don't really look at TikTok.
No, listen. Look, I'm just setting the tone here, because we're going up and everything, and we're going to talk about music because
Tracy Chapman crushed it. Oh
no, Beyonce is coming out with the country album.
Yes, she is.
And
the first two tracks were produced by Raphael Sadiq.
Oh,
wow!
But Raph can do that though.
Raph can do anything.
Yeah. Raph can do that.
That's true.
She had a country song on her last album. On Lemonade, she had a country song. She had a song called Daddy. She had a song called Daddy Lessons on Lemonade. There was a country song. She's from Texas.
She's from Texas, right?
Yeah.
They like country music down there.
She's from the South.
Yeah.
Raphael Sadiq, though, is not from the South. He's from Northern California, and it never rains there.
He's from Oakland.
True.
Yeah, he's from Oakland. But guess what?
It never rains there.
He got funk all the way throughout his body, though.
Yeah.
That brother can actually do
Raph
anything.
got skills, baby boy.
You listen to
with
his catalog, the shit he's produced, you're like, God.
I'm riding with him.
Yeah, hard.
So are we mad at these cats for going after this guy, John Schneider, who came out and said Beyonce making a country album is like, she's just got to go out in the world and just piss on everybody's lawn. As if she doesn't have enough, she's going out and pissing on country's lawn. One thing I can't be surprised at is a guy who like rose to prominence and fame from driving around a car with the Confederate flag on the top at the end of his lifetime comes out and just basically lets it all out there. But I'm kind of surprised though, because he was actually on Broadway for a long time. He disappeared from like the public, and he was up on Broadway and he was singing and doing musicals 2 and 3 times a day. So what's all that about?
Well, it may just be, all BS aside, Beyonce is considered to be an outsized talent. Mm-hmm. And it may be a little of like, goddamn, you got to take all the cookies. Like you own these 2 spaces already. Do you really need to come over here and own this too? Like, let somebody else eat, goddamn it. My beef with Beyonce is more, did you see the cover for the 2 singles?
Mm-mm.
Like,
no, I didn't.
The outfits are barely outfits. I mean, one of them is like a metal string bikini. Like, she's beyond that. Like, she shouldn't have to use sex to sell at her level anymore.
But
like,
you know,
she should be able to wrap herself in a full fucking cloak if she wants to, and the music is good enough that she can sell it anyway.
You may be right about that, but from a marketing perspective, why leave it to chance?
Well, I mean, she's number 1 on the country chart, so it worked.
Yeah, And it's funny, like,
can y'all correct me if I'm wrong? But didn't country artists start rapping in country songs?
Oh yeah.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So why are they getting mad if an R&B singer jumps in their platform?
But here, so this is my problem with this conversation is I think people have pronoun trouble, because when you call it my music or our music, right? That implies ownership, but you don't own it, sir. Right? Like it's music for everybody. Anybody that wants to listen to it can listen to the music. So it's not yours. So anybody that wants to make the music can make the music. So
Right.
Well, since this is a colorblind show, I'm not going to say that black people probably created country music too.
Right. People did that.
But if you live,
That's
in a
right.
place, if you live in a place where people were sailing on a boat and just one day looked over and goes, "Oh shit, some land. That's our land."
right.
Regardless of the
Right.
fact that there might have been people there, then you probably think that you own music too. You probably think everything has to have ownership and everything has to belong to someone instead of just being of the
Ah.
people. It's vibrations.
don't-
It's everybody's.
So the
Don't-
difference.
don't-
Go ahead.
Don't country music artists cover R&B all the time?
They do.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
They do, and
Right.
vice versa.
So yeah, and vice versa. But no, I
Mhm.
mean nobody said nothing about that. You know,
A
so
lot of-
I mean, just let it ride.
A lot of country is R&B, has R&B
True.
roots, chords, and when they, especially when they try to expand it, blues.
And one of the greatest country albums of all time was done by one Ray Charles, Modern
Ray
Sounds
Charles.
and Country and Western.
Yes, sir.
So
Still ain't that? I think that's still his biggest selling album.
Oh yeah. Well, any
Yeah. Oh,
album,
yeah.
any album with "I Can't Stop Loving You" on it's gonna do all right.
Right.
Sing the song, children.
well, the worst part about what he did was like he essentially called her the B word, because if you're
Wow.
saying that you're a dog out there pissing on somebody else's lawn, and I think I know what pronouns Beyonce uses, and one of them is she. So you're kind of calling her the B word, who's out there going in pissing on everybody's lawn. Would I be wrong about that? Am I taking it too far?
Well, you're probably not taking it too far, but like, why are we listening to what that jackass has to say?
Exactly.
Well, because he's Bo Duke. He's Bo
So?
Duke, bro.
Well, yo, check this
I'll-
out. Didn't Tyler Perry give him a job on that to have and have nots
Yeah.
show
Yep.
on
Yeah, he
Oprah
did.
Winfrey's
Yeah.
network?
Yeah, he
So
did.
why he gonna, he got a check. So why would he be concerned if
Why would he find it? Why would he find it necessary for it to be his job to be the one to come out and say something about Beyonce doing a country album? Because essentially, you're right. If Oprah gave him a job, you've been eating off of these plates, but then again, it really goes to form and everything. It's the story of Thanksgiving. The Pilgrims came over and ate the turkey and stayed. So
Right.
it's the same thing. But that's what people did.
Or
You know?
do.
Or do.
or yeah, still do.
Colorblind. None of these things are done based upon the basis of anyone's race or ethnicity or the groups that they're in.
No, like there was a whole big kerfluffle, let's use the word, at the early part of the week after she announced that this was coming out, because people started calling country stations and they didn't even know that the record was out. And so they just sent like the generic response, like, hey, we love Beyonce, but we're a country station. We don't play Beyonce's records.
Right.
And so then people got really pissed off. They're like, these guys didn't even know. I mean, she announced it in the middle of the Super Bowl that she's releasing a country song. These guys didn't even know that she had a country song out. So they're like, if somebody called and asked us to play the Rolling Stones, we'd give them the same response. We're a country station, not knowing that she had made 2 country songs. So I think that sort of blew up some of the issue too. Like it became a little bit more of an argument at that point. Were they being racist? Were they, it's people, it's music. Music is for everybody.
Is it racist? If we just eliminate seeing people as being different colors, Beyonce gets her spins, right?
I don't know. Does she? Here's the thing. People always find a line with which to delineate them from another us from them, whether it's a language, whether it's in this country they've used race a lot, but they've also used ethnicity in this country for many years. People always find a way to divide themselves, so maybe they'd find another way.
Well, people are tribal though.
Yeah.
So to some extent that makes sense. But I mean, for music, like, I mean, you don't own it. I mean, if you buy the album, you own it.
See, Grant, your musical past is like kind of showing through in this topic because you're taking the point of view of someone who really understands and has seen talent at its, like, you know, purest form in the beginning and the onset to many different forms.
Right.
R&B, rap, country, rock. You know, we spent a lot of time in studios, both together and separately in different areas and different places. And we know what the grind is about. We know what that soul is when you're making that, when you're creating that music. And nobody really cares the only people that care what color you are the racists when it comes to music.
Right. Exactly.
And that's really the truth.
Exactly. Because if that was the case, then what You Will Do for Love wouldn't be a hit.
Yeah.
Right.
And there's no way Bobby Caldwell would have made it all these years.
Right.
Listen, I can remember banging Benny and the Jets in the 70s. Right. I mean, but that was what you had to listen to in the 70s though. Right. Like you had radio stations that played everything that there was to play.
Mm-hmm.
So it was just music. There was no true separation. I mean, maybe in some places there were, but
like we got lucky in New York because we had BLS.
Mm-hmm. We had BLS.
Frankie's thing was if it was a hit, he was gonna play it. So you played Hall & Oates, Steely Dan, Elton John. You play some of that salsa crossover stuff.
Yes,
you playing Bob Marley. But there are a lot of other places, like in Philly, that wasn't happening. They weren't crossing over like that. Like they played Hall & Oates because they were Philly boys, but they wasn't really crossing over like that. DAS was a black music station. It was in response to all the other stuff that had gone before, and it was our safe haven.
Yeah.
So sometimes people get the political crossed up with the other thing. And now they're inextricably tied.
So what you're saying is that station in Philadelphia was born out of a need because there was a dearth of places where black talent could actually go and they could actually play,
where they could
actually get heard, and where the people would actually get to hear this like music. So now I'm going to bring it back to this clown who wrote this book based upon what happens in the 1970s. I haven't read the book, but I probably bet $1,000 that there's no possibility that he mentioned anything like that about music in the book and how the reason why it was a causal factor. And that's someone who basically plays music.
Right. How old is this cat again?
He's like 27. And the interesting thing is he plays like a bass trumpet, and he actually plays in a jazz place like when New York City. That's like one thing that he does. He went to Juilliard first, and then he went to Columbia. So this brother, he's got different experiences.
Right.
He was able to go from this upper middle class town to this setting where it's a safe space at all points in time to another safe space. And he's discussing his aggressions within these safe spaces, and white liberals and black liberal and white people and this is a colorblind show. People who identify with different political identities, whether you be Republican or Democrat, whatever, are eating this cat up. But the truth of the matter is, it's like the doppelganger syndrome. He is not representative of the majority of kids his age. And if you're going to actually present that, you have to present the whole picture, not just the sides of the picture that you fucking like.
Yo, this cat plays with the Mingus band.
Yeah.
Like at the jazz stand. Like that's like those cats play music, man.
Yeah, he gotta have skills. Bullshit. He gotta have skills. But here's the thing though. So the thing about writing the book though is that at 27 years old, you didn't live through any of that. So what you did was go back to what was written down or what people told you, right? We already know that what was written down was probably changed,
Painting.
right?
Right.
We also know that eyewitness testimony is probably the least accurate form of what, you know what I mean? Like, people tell you what they think what they kind of remember they saw, but they didn't necessarily see that. So whatever he wrote is just him going back, and he's just regurgitating some facts. He don't have no like real meat to it. And like you say, I haven't read the book either. But at 27 years old, my man, you don't have the experience to be able to, you probably don't have the experience to be able to write that book. Now, if he wrote to write that book and make it, you know, plausible, if he did, I would be shocked. But
I'm sure it sounds somewhat plausible as far as propaganda goes.
Well, let me say this. He's not even old enough to remember when MTV didn't show black videos and BET had to come out and play black videos because MTV was not playing black videos. And not until David Bowie called them out in a live interview is when they started to play Prince and Michael Jackson. But that was it.
And
so he doesn't remember that. He doesn't remember any of those type. He doesn't remember, like, when I was growing up in New York, if I was, like, say 13, 14 years old, if I was seen walking down the street with a white girl, everybody looked. White people would drive by in the car, they would look. He's never experienced that. He doesn't even know what he doesn't know what that is. So he doesn't have he doesn't have the experience to write a book and say that DEI or the made up one. What's the other one made up? The
critical race theory.
Critical race theory, which is only taught in law school as an elective, but they were running around saying it was taught in elementary school, which it is not. But none of that. He doesn't have those experiences to even just talk about those things because he grew up in an era where he didn't have to experience any of that.
The bottom line is that he's standing on the shoulders of brothers like us, even, who aren't that far ahead of him, but are far enough for a generation ahead of him at this point in time. That's 20 some odd years of experiences that we actually went through. Not saying that it was like,
right.
Like, you know, but, you know, there were, like you said, Andrew, there were obstacles. There were different things there were places you couldn't go to. Motherfuckers got beat in Bensonhurst in 1987. Can you talk about that? Can you really explain that from someone who doesn't live in the area, who didn't live in the area, doesn't feel the vibe from what's going on at that point in time, and you're taking your perspective from a fucking textbook or based upon your interactions with other people? This is the problem with these black conservatives. It's because they always talk about them, but it's not just about them. Now, we all on this panel, I don't know about you, Andrew, but we all went to the same high school in the same area, in the same neighborhood. And one thing that was interesting is that he went to a neighborhood that was probably less than us. He was probably, he might have been 5% of black people in this area. Would you say that, Rob, based upon that?
I mean, Montclair is a decent neighborhood, but it lists, what is this list as? A coeducational private school located in Livingston, Essex County, New Jersey. He went to Newark Academy.
Okay.
That's near East Orange. Isn't Montclair near East Orange?
Yeah.
Orange and East Orange.
Yeah, it's the adjacent suburb, I believe.
Right.
But yeah, but he went to Newark Academy in Livingston. Livingston for a while was the car theft capital of America.
Yes.
Okay.
Because it's right next door to Newark.
New Jersey Drive.
So
yeah, that was in the 90s.
Jump over, boom, boost it, take it back into Newark.
Okay.
You know, and then Ross gets the phone call. Yo, man, what's going on in your city? I saw him on TV the other day.
Ross Baraka?
Yeah, he was interviewed. What the heck was I was watching something on PBS and he was interviewed.
From ahead of the Black Nia for us. You know
that's
him
right.
That's right. You know him as Newark's mayor, Ross Baraka. They showed up. You know, they're always doing good things in Newark. I need to get with my guy up in Newark. I haven't spoken to him in a minute. and everything. But HU's been hitting them. Old girl is from HU, the attorney.
Yeah.
I was basically telling him, hey, get out of my social business. We might have clapped once. We might have clapped twice. It ain't none of your business. Crazy. If we were colorblind, or as a female, is there any race thing involved in her being called up for this case whatsoever? Have we seen this happen? Let's just say, have we seen this happen to any other female attorney?
I think they're grasping at straws, to an extent, because
Colorblind.
If you got a client that's going up against something like this, as a defense attorney, you got to muddy the water as best you can. So if I can go after the attorney that's trying the case in the eye of public opinion,
we all gonna win.
That could make her tainted.
We're all going free in the future. We're all going free in the future if you can do that.
Right, but that's the strategy that's being deployed.
But would the question
because they want to change a venue, basically. They got to get it out of Fulton County.
Would they have tried that strategy if there was a different complexion on the parties involved on the prosecuting side?
Colorblind.
And that's the thing we'll never know. In a colorblind society, we know that they would do that to everybody. We'd have seen it hundreds of times already. It wouldn't be a new strategy, but it's the first time many of us are seeing this. And so it makes you wonder.
Why are they so comfortable doing that?
So I have a question. If it were truly a colorblind society, what would be the thing that people separated themselves on? Would it be more economic? Would it be age? Would it be
penis size?
That's what you want it to be.
Right.
You and your midget band roaming the countryside.
I had to throw it out there.
It would probably be congregation. It would probably be where you worship on Sunday.
Because we know it would be something.
James Baldwin used to say that the most segregated hour in America is noon on Sunday.
Noon on Sunday. Yeah.
So that would probably be what they used.
Yeah, because there's always going to be something, right? Because it's, I mean, Irish versus German or whatever the thing is.
Oh yeah,
there's always going to be something.
Everybody versus the Italians, everybody versus the Irish.
Right.
Those wars happen. They're real.
But we don't want the Irish.
That's right. We'll take the niggers and the Jews.
This is
right. Don't want the Irish.
We don't want the Irish. Famous line from Blazing Saddles, another inappropriate movie of the 1980s. That young man, 70s, I'm sorry, that young man has never known anything about that would never get made today. Thank you, Mel Dress.
I don't even think you could watch Blazing Saddles in 24.
Why?
I still think it's funny to this day.
Oh, it's hilarious.
But
I'm not.
Are people too triggered by it now?
Like,
kids are allowed to be triggered by everything.
The only thing triggering in that movie is too many Snitzengrubens.
15
but think about it though. Hey, in the 70s, do you think those sitcoms in the 70s could be played today?
No.
Like say the Jeffersons, Archie Bunker, Sanford and Son.
No, you couldn't have Archie Bunker today.
You really, if you really want to go into it, think about some of the worst sitcoms that might have ran for 3 or 4 years that were really reaching for ratings that had cringy moments. 25-year-old guys hitting on 14-year-old, 15-year-old girls in the middle of the dialogue as if it was like normal. That was like okay back then. It was like, it just happens.
Right.
Now it would be something crazy. But then also at that time, at 18 years old, you could go buy a case of beer. So,
well, people were getting married at 14 back then, though.
Well, the reason why I mentioned this is because there was something that was on the internet with what's that dude, Charleston White. It was making the
Mhm.
rounds because he said if he can get him an 18-year-old girl, he would, and everything because she's legal and you know it's of age and all that other stuff. But let's bring it into this conversation with this guy. He's writing about how things have changed. But back then, 18 years old, you know, Charleston White with the 18-year-old girl, you would see 18-year-old girls doing all types of stuff because they could go out and get drunk and be wild and be crazy. And that was how
Mhm.
they blew off steam. And that was how they did things. There's a lot of things that are a lot different as from today to back then. So in a colorblind society, is that still okay?
So I have different views on youth and age differences. I think that men and women look for different things, and I think that men value. I think in your mind, a younger woman is going to be more pure. She's going to be in your mind. She should probably be a virgin. She should probably be somebody that you can work with. You know what I mean? She shouldn't be. She wouldn't be so opinionated as what you have with somebody that's my age. So I don't view it. I don't view it the same way. I think that you probably should be with somebody younger. Now 18 may be a stretch, but hey, if that's what floats your boat, go ahead, get it.
So I'm seeing this other meme online. It's got this 31-year-old woman who's saying, I'm ready to shut it down now. I'm ready to get married. I'm ready for the commitment. And she's like, you know, dressed in one of these, basically these loose outfits that all these girls that have OnlyFans are on. And they were all on this one podcast. And she's saying, I'm ready to shut it down now. She's not saying, but she's like, I've caught my 150, 250 bodies. And now I'm ready to commit. And you know,
Good
the
luck
whole
with that.
joke, right? The whole joke
Right,
of the whole joke of
right.
the meme is good luck with that. So if you take something like that with what Charleston White said and what you just said, at 18, if you don't want one of those that's been running around for like, you know, 30 years, where does that leave that segment of different women?
Well, it's the issue is I talked about this on my podcast, and I was just talking about I did an episode on the female and male prime years, and I was just basically saying that women's prime is basically their 20s,
Mm-hmm.
and men's prime starts late 20s going into their 30s into their early 40s. And the problem is that when women are in their prime, they're not in some situations, well, most situations nowadays, it seems like they're not ready to settle down.
Mm-hmm.
So after the fact, they'll get to say age 29, 30 and start wanting to settle down and have a family. And they're looking for the guys that are in their similar age group. The
Mm-hmm.
problem is that they're leaving their prime
Mm-hmm.
and the guys are just going into theirs. So
Right.
those guys ain't checking for them no more.
Right.
For one, they've been with the quote unquote guys that wasn't any good for them. They didn't get what they wanted out of it, and now they're showing up after the fact.
Mm-hmm.
And those guys are basically saying, we ain't playing that game no more.
Too much.
So,
You see,
it maybe 20 years ago, they might have gave them a chance.
let
But
me just
now they're not doing that.
let me just stop you for 1 second. Like 20 years ago, they might have gave him a chance. Now we'll go back even 30 years or 30, probably a little bit more, 40 to the 70s, right? Now we're talking about these 18-year-old girls that were able to drink and party and all this other stuff. Women, generally in the 70s and 80s, they really, well, if they had some oats to sow, as you know, our moms used to tell us, when you're young, you go out, you sow your oats. They were sowing their oats in between the ages of like 18 and 21. And a lot of them were getting married by the time before they were 25 years old. That was like really what the goal was. It was a difference. Now you fast forward and you say the same things about a girl settling down at 18 years old. And, you know, Charleston White, he's an exaggeration. He's in his 40s, but let's just say a guy like 4 years old. People find that to be cringy. But what you're saying is there may be something natural about that.
Yeah,
Well, I mean, there is an element
yeah,
that's
go ahead.
natural about that. I mean, the guys tend to, you're looking for somebody who young and healthy and soft, a certain amount of breedability. And so guys are going to generally look younger, but there's also sort of, for me, the dividing factor is like, I have a 23-year-old daughter.
Mm-hmm.
I know what 23-year-olds think like. Keep me the fuck away from that. Like, I need to get as far away from that kind of mentality as possible.
Right.
Like, what we've done to these kids, in trying to let them live their best lives is greatly delay their age of maturity.
Destroy them. Right.
We've greatly delayed their age of maturity. So they're not the same as the 18-year-olds that we were dealing with.
Exactly.
So let me stop you right there. So should an 18-year-old be a legal age for an older man, or should it be closer to like 20 years old now with all of the social engineering that we've had over the past 40 years?
I mean,
based upon what you just said, wouldn't that make more sense?
While yes, you are correct, it would make more sense, but I'm also not feeling that we need to make another law. Like, we need to start making more laws about shit. There's already enough laws about shit.
Well, listen,
like,
we know that
it's very easy to keep your 18-year-old daughter away from a 36-year-old man. Just parent the fuck out of her.
Right. Well, we know for a fact that the Republican Party would never allow that to go through. They want to push it down to 16 because they want more babies at this point.
Did you hear the thing in Alabama today? The Alabama Supreme Court?
No.
Yeah.
These motherfuckers jumped the shark today.
What?
So there was a case in which somebody was transferring frozen embryos and then dropped them in the parking lot, and some of them got destroyed, and some people wanted to consider that murder, whatever. And basically the Alabama Supreme Court went and stated today that those frozen embryos are in fact entitled to all the rights of any living person. They are in fact a living person, as much of a living person as any baby, any adult.
So they're saying basically that they can charge you with
charge you murder.
Criminally negligent. It would have to be criminally negligent homicide.
Yeah. So you dropped
the eggs. You dropped the embryo.
The box, and now you a mass murderer.
Now you a mass murderer, or if you're in a dispute with your ex, and you decide you want to destroy the embryos, you guys put together something, and now y'all aren't together anymore, and you don't want them to have access to your seed anymore. You can't just can't pick them up and destroy them.
So even if neither one of the parties gets them, eventually somebody will. That's like one step away from legal cloning, because if the man doesn't want it and the woman doesn't want it, and you can't destroy it legally, so then the state is going to hold them in perpetuity. How long is it going to take for them to say, hey, we've got these embryos in here that are sitting here, they're costing us money. We could auction them off with someone else's DNA, and now you're cloning. It's a very slippery slope.
Let me ask a question. I'm not no scientist or anything. Maybe y'all know. When they do in vitro, they don't keep all of the eggs, do they? I mean, because they, I guess it depends on how many the woman can hold.
When they do in vitro, they keep, the ones that they don't use in this particular, like if you donated X number of eggs, they might implant 3, but they keep their other ones. But the 3 that they implant 3, 2 of them go bye-bye, and you hope one of them catches on. But then again, that's also why there's lots of triplets and quadruplets born in vitro.
From a lot of these women who were 35 and decided they wanted to have children. So this is how society has changed now. It's really a rich person's thing. What we're talking about, this is a 1% conversation. So with this 1% conversation and the change in the 1%, of course, we have someone who is like coming from a 1% perspective, telling us how to discern race on a basic level.
Here's the thing, though. Almost all the conversations in America are 1% conversations.
Right.
That's the fucking truth.
Yes.
Half the time, people are engaged in a conversation about something that absolutely does not impact them. Talk about the death tax. How few people will ever have enough money to pay that, but nobody wants it because it's going to impact. I don't want to impact my future. Motherfucker, you ain't never. You could work. You could live to be 1,000, and you ain't gonna have shit to pass on. You know, I'll talk to people. My mom just moved to South America, and in the country she lives in, they have socialized medicine. And so, the knock against socialized medicine is the wait. Like if you need your knee replaced or whatever, now you got to get online, and it might be 2.5 years before you get your knee replaced.
Okay.
Right? That's bullshit. You can't. But in America, they don't want socialized medicine. But in America, if you ain't got it, they ain't no wait. You just ain't never getting it.
You just ain't never.
You don't have insurance. You ain't never getting that.
You're gonna be limping the rest of your life.
Exactly. But which is worse? You hear in America, people will tell you that socialized medicine is awful and it's disgraceful. But you haven't had insurance in 20 years. You haven't seen a dentist since you were fucking 8 years old. And you talking about socialized medicine is bad, motherfucker. You need somebody to socialize your teeth right now.
Right.
Get your gums right.
But what do you think? What do you think Medicare is, and what do you think being in the military is? That's all socialized medicine there.
Yeah. All
so
poorly run, but
poorly run. Yeah, you can go to the VA. I'm not a veteran, but I've actually done work at the VA, and I can tell you, you're gonna be waiting a minute. You're a vet, right, Andrew?
Yeah.
Are you a vet? Yeah.
Yeah.
So
I don't use the VA hospitals, but I mean, not because they're good, bad, and different. I mean, it's just it's a travel for me to get to a good sized one to handle certain things. But I can but the issue is that when you're in the military, you're getting socialized medicine. And I heard a lot of people tell you in the military, I don't believe in socialized medicine. I says, well, you need to get out the service because that's what you're getting right now anyway. I don't believe in socialism. People might say things to that effect. I said, what do you think Social Security is? It's a government ran pension that you get, and that you pay into it, and you get a percentage of it once you reach retirement age. But see, people like the services when they receive it, but they don't like the call thing. Like they with Obamacare, they says, I don't want Obamacare, but it's saving their lives. We say, okay, well, let me take it back. No, don't do that. But I don't like Obamacare. It's just it's that people been getting something once they get and receive something.
You saw an uptick in race issues in 2013, which was when Obama was entering into the second leg of his presidency. 2013 is when we started
when the racists
hearing
were doubling down. Goddamn it, they ain't never happened again.
Yeah, this is right. Exactly. That's when we started hearing this is never going to happen again. We're going to make sure that there's never another black president. While we were watching this guy try to put through plans, and they would say there's no possible way we're ever going to vote for any type of program that this guy actually put through, any type of work together. That was actually the beginning of the end of governing in the United States without using presidential orders, because Obama had to utilize them in order to get anything done, because they refused to negotiate. They would negotiate and they pull it back, but that didn't happen because he was black, because at that point in time, since he was elected, it was a colorblind society that we were living in. And, I'm glad for a fact that you guys are such intelligent, such well-spoken, well-studied men that you are, that we could actually do this experiment of a colorblind show, so that if anyone is listening to this, if they just imagine the different cadences or when someone else, and just imagine that at the end of that Matthew McConaughey movie, just imagine that they were white. Now just imagine if the panel were white. So, this has been our Colorblind Show. Time to kill. That's it.
Movie.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
So I do have a question, because I need to circle back to the Alabama thing. So if the embryos are mass murder, cannibalism has to be at an all-time high, because they all swallow now. So
Well, but see, that's not a fertilized embryo. It's not. It's only half the. It's only half the equation.
And let me tell you
That's
something.
a fact.
And let me tell you something. That is something that is definitely colorblind. Thank you for the 36th episode of Bored in Trouble.
See, it wasn't. I didn't find that out until I got to college that was colorblind, because there was definitely
Yes.
a partition. You know, there were people who claimed to be, you know, who had some African lineage. They wasn't, you know, they were quitters.
Yeah.
They were quitters.
But what
Yeah,
happened? But the freak, as society gets older, the freak line moves though.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? The freak line moves as society gets more and more advanced or regress or whatever we doing.
Mhm.
Sometimes it seems like we regress and sometimes it seems like we advancing, but the freak line just continues to move. So, you know, yesterday nobody took it in the ass. Today they wanted it in the ass first.
Everybody takes it
Like
in the ass.
now it's a healthy alternative.
Yeah.
Right.
And you know what?
Right.
You know what?
But-
Also, when we talk
Well,
about
what's
it
called?
from a scientific,
The other white
when you talk about it from a scientific perspective,
Mhm.
every time you have sex with a person, you leave a piece of your DNA along with them. So there's a whole bunch of people that have been mixing that have all this black in them. So when they see different races, because of the fact that we're cool with you as long as you have the talent, then that's getting spread across the world. So just sleep with more people. Born in Trouble, 36th
What's her
episode.
name? Fiddy's ex, Chelsea Handler.
Chelsea Handler.
I'm not really sure why she decided to give a warning to the world and advise the world that, you know, if you should get involved with my ex, Mr. Jackson, do not take it in the ass.
Oh, see. Colorblind, baby. A colorblind
Apparently Fiddy went in there to wreck shop.
You ain't
From
gonna shit
down
right for a week.
south. Lord of wishes, this has been quite a conversation. You might have to go outside and get you a sweet tea. Mr. Andrew Johnson.
Intellectually stimulating, guys. I mean, between this and the cows not having sex last episode, I don't know if my IQ is going up or down, but I appreciate the love and the invite.
Well, we specialize in flatlining here. We've got all week. Listen, we've got all week to go up and, you know, and do intelligent, smart things. This is our opportunity to actually have a good laugh. And
The older
have
I
a good
get, I
laugh
don't know.
as just pure Americans. Just pure Americans, just like colorblind Americans. You know, I'm learning from this 27-year-old kid. Who knows where I can be in another 20 years? Maybe right next to Herman Cain. From Pennsylvania, Mr. Brooks with the good looks.
What it is, man.
What
Do
is
not.
it?
If you see 50 Cent, find a wall. Put your cheeks
Find a wall.
against the wall and protect yourself.
Don't do it. Colorblind, Rob. And that's got nothing to do with the
has nothing
fact.
to do with this color. Has
Nothing to do with this color. Nothing to do with this color. You know, you can find them in the club. So avoid the clubs.
Right. Yeah. You
And
got
of
the
course,
accent into making love.
yes. And of course, from Detroit, Michigan, home of City Wings, Gators, and fly ladies all across
That's
the
right.
world. Chocolate
That's
City.
right.
Mr. Bill Ancestor.
That's right.
The original Chocolate City. Home of Dr. Detroit.
Ooh, ooh.
The Good Doctor. That was a good bad movie.
Man,
That was an excellent bad movie.
that's one of the greatest bad movies ever.
Yes. Bad movie Hall of Fame.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Dr. Detroit. Yes.
Dan Aykroyd at his finest.
Yes. Hey guys, Andrew, I hope you had fun. You know, this is
Man,
like a little bit less serious than the last show. So
Well,
you know.
yeah, I mean, if we're gonna rate the two, this one was probably less serious, but the last one was probably in a close second.
I think we made a point. I think at least I hope I made a point about being colorblind, though. Honestly, because like Beyonce, Who are the aggressed people that we mentioned in this show? Beyonce, basically, I don't know. I put my notes away already. But every person that was aggressed on the show, if they had a setback, it wasn't because they were black. So stop saying it. I'll also be fighting against reparations later on this week on Wisdom.
There you go. You're going to stand for the bullshit, stand for all of it.
Stand for all of it. We're in trouble.
Right.
I hope y'all understand sarcasm. Thank you for joining us this week, and we'll catch y'all next week.
Chris Stapleton's my favorite